Now, I only got one picture of that snowmobile back when I rode it when I was a kid. This was back when I was young. Okay.
Well, start over again. You told me the story because this your
Okay.
dad had this.
This was the one I rode.
And then it disappeared for a while.
We sold it. It sat in the boathouse for years. Sat in the boathouse for years. I said, Dad, why don't you sell it? I said, sit here. It's doing us no good. Get rid of it. So he sold it. He sold it to a guy, and 5-6 years passed. I got into these vintage sleds then.
That just happened that you all of a sudden.
Well,
rekindled
some of
it
my
again?
buddies were in it, and I went to a couple shows, and I'm like, God, I think I'd like to do this. So, of course, I picked Skedaddler brand because them are the ones that I rode. And see, there was a dealership here in town. Richie George had it. Joe George and Son, Plumbing and Heating, down by Kraft.
Downtown.
Yes.
Where was the store?
It was right in the plumbing shop.
Oh,
Okay. So anyways, and my dad worked for him. So my dad bought this snowmobile, and we rode it as kids. But anyways, it disappeared. Dad sold it. Well, then 5-6 years went by, and I rekindled the old vintage snowmobiles. And I said, well, me and Dad had conversation after conversation. God, I said, Dad, do you remember who you sold that to? Oh, God, he said, I can't remember. And he even called a couple guys that he thought he might have sold to. He said, no, it wasn't us. So a couple more years went by. I was working at Brewer Metals at the time. I was at the sink washing for break, and one of my coworkers was next to me, and he says to me, do you know Tony Bentz? And I looked at him and I said, yeah. He said, that's my dad. He says, I bought an old snowmobile from you. And I mean, my eyes just,
Did this just happen? Or
it just happened. It
nobody
just,
nobody
nope,
blew in his ear and gave him
no,
a clue?
absolutely not. Absolutely not. And I looked at him right then and there and I said, do you want to sell it? Or first of all, I said, do you still have it? Yep. Do you want to sell it? I got to talk to my wife. I said, okay. So I left him alone. I left him alone for a week. It was driving me absolutely nuts. Finally, one day we're at the sink washing up and he says, hey, still interested in that snowmobile? I said, yes. I said, what did the wife say? She said, go ahead and sell it. I said, okay, sold. I said, when can I come and get it? He said, anytime, after work. Well, this was early spring. So the ground was froze yet. There was snow, not a lot, but there was snow and stuff on the ground. He says, it's sitting out behind the barn. And I thought to myself, oh boy, yeah. But he said, the track is up off the ground. It's on a 5-gallon bucket. So he said, the track is free, but he says, I don't know about the skis. I said, all right. So I got a hold of my buddy. We got together. We went out there right after work. It took us 3 hours.
2 pails of hot water.
To dig this thing out of it. And I'll show you a picture of it right here.
Nice.
Here's what it looked like when we got it. I mean, but
Seat's gone.
look at the dirt on the skis. That just to show you how much we had to chisel. We had to chisel it out because it had sat in that behind that barn for I don't know how
sunk.
many. Just sunk.
Oh, and then you have to be careful. You want to wreck the skis.
Yeah. Well, the skis were destroyed, but either way, you still got to be careful. But you can see how inside. This is under the hood. You can see all the crap that the dirt and dust from the fields just packed in there.
And the mice nests.
Yes. Well, look at the seat. I mean, the seat's destroyed. There's the seat. But we got her loaded on a trailer, and on my way home, I called my dad. I didn't tell my dad I'd found the snowmobile. I called my dad. I said, "Hey, what are you doing?" He said, "I just sitting in the chair." I said, "Get some shoes on." I said, "Get a jacket on." I said,
Something you got to do.
I got to show you something. I said, I'm on my way over. So took it over there, got pulled in, got the trailer. He said, oh my God. He says, you found the old dad. He always called it the daddler. He said, you found the daddler.
You knew for sure it was the same machine.
We knew that because this is our registration number.
Okay.
And he painted, actually, Harry Falby, when it was Falby's Auto Body, Harry had it, the old man.
Yep.
He painted this. This was a doily. And he painted the stripes. And so it looked like snowflakes.
Okay.
And it was 3 stripes. But yeah, that's the same registration number. We know it's a sled.
For sure.
If you look, right there it is.
Yep.
Okay. And of course, the paint was still on the hood yet, some of it.
Mm-hmm.
So it was the machine.
No question.
Yep. But now, of course, let's see here. Yeah, here's some more of it. Just how bad it really was. But then, of course, then here's the finished product.
Pieces and parts are available. You just
working on it every day, but working on it, and Dad was involved, and I have a lot of other people to thank. I didn't paint. I don't paint, but I got some friends that help paint
know
me.
how to do that.
Yep. So I mean,
so it's now back to original.
Yes.
Original color.
Yep. Everything.
Where were those made?
They were built in Iowa and New York. Because see, in 71, AMF Harley Davidson.
Oh, so that was going to be my next question. Didn't
AMF
own Harley Davidson for a time?
AMF Harley Davidson bought in. There was actually 2 assembly lines. AMF Skedaddler, AMF Harley Davidson. There's the next one I'm restoring right now, which is the AMF Harley Davidson. They have the same chassis. I am about probably 70% done. But I got the motor all back in it. I got it all back together, waiting for a seat, waiting for some other goodies. This is the first year of AMF Harley Davidson, which is 1971. But
I remember the red, white, blue.
yeah, and they came in white and black. but I'm this
That was
far,
it. Any color you want, either white or black.
white or black, and there was two sizes. But I'm this far with this one. That's
Two different sizes of the machine.
Yep.
This is the
440.
And what was the other one?
398.
Okay.
The white hoods were 398s. The black hoods were 440s.
And then they made those for how long?
Harley made them from 71 to 75.
Okay.
And then
That was it for
and
the
they were
sleds.
done. And Skedaddler was done in 72. Let me show you this. Here is my 67. Look at the rat's nest that I found inside the chassis on that one. Let's see what else I got here. Oh, here was the sleigh. Here was the sleigh from Butch when I found, because these were made in 1971. They're very. It's kind of a unique sleigh.
Jetsons.
Yes, yes. Take me along. That's what they called it. Take me along. There's the part number of that sleigh. That's that.
Sweet.
Well, here was a magazine I was in. That was with my racer. It's right here in the driveway. Let's see what else I got in here.
Which magazine was that?
Vintage Snowmobiles.
Do they still publish? Do you know?
Oh yes. Oh yes. Yep. I think they're out of Minnesota. This, of course, was that was the racer in the driveway here one time.
Mm-hmm.
This is a long time. This is, I think, was when I only had this one, which would have been roughly I've been doing this about 10 years now. We figured that out. 09. Yep. Actually, let me just show you this. Here was my first show I ever went to, which was in 08. It was the Dodge County show.
Where do they hold that?
At that time, they held it over at, it's called Harvish Figure Park or something.
Orange Figure Park?
Yes,
Mhm.
that's where they held it back then. This year, it's going to be up at the Mayville Gun Club. Okay, it's been at the Mayville Gun Club the last few years.
It's coming up soon?
It's coming up in like 3 weeks, the 21st. But here was the first show I was at. Wade was with me.
Okay.
And that was Wade's at that time. Now, Wade doesn't have one anymore. He sold everything. But that was the first show that I ever went to. In fact, I took Wade's sled over there. Wade got a trophy, and I got a trophy. But
A success story.
yeah. And I mean, that was the start of it all right there. I know I got my snowmobile license back in that era when I was probably, I think you had to be 12 or 13, to take the snowmobile course, which was right here at Sunset Hills. And I remember doing that. I remember taking that class yet. I do remember parts of that. So, and through grade school and high school, we rode snowmobile every day we could after school. Christmas vacation, we lived on them snowmobiles. I can remember every night Dad would come home and I'd say, Dad, I need more gas. And he'd be like, Jesus Christ, how much gas did you use today? But that's what we did, I got out of it for a while. This is an old program from it was January 31st of 71. This was a race program. The Snowcats of Beaver Dam held an event at the Dodge County Fairgrounds.
Okay.
And look at the sponsors that were in here. I mean, it's amazing, all the old businesses that were involved in this.
And we're willing to sponsor.
Yeah. I don't know what the sponsorship was, but all these were different dealers that were right here in Beaver Dam. Lonnie Fraber sold Ski Rule and Rupp.
The same guy, the jeweler?
Yes.
Really?
Yes. I mean, I paged through here and just amazing. Dodge County Co-op sold Massey Ferguson.
Jeez, everybody made a damn snowmobile.
Yes. And I mean,
John Deere had one too, didn't he?
John Deere. I don't think John Deere was this early yet. I don't think John Deere. Here's Airport Marina in Fox Lake. Snowjet and Evinrude. You know where that was? You know where the airport was in Fox Lake? Okay. If you go out 33, you
To
go
the west?
Go to the west. Go past Quick Trip.
Yeah.
okay, where the chalet is there, or
Yeah,
cafe
yeah.
thing, the building before that,
Oh, that thing with the big arches and the steel.
there was an airport there. There was a racetrack right there, a snowmobile racetrack. They had an event there. But that's where they sold these. That was the airport marina. Old Joe.
Joe went in the ice, didn't he?
Yes. Gibson, the old guy
Sure,
with the
sure.
chainsaws.
Yeah.
He sold these.
He bought me chainsaw from me.
Spanglers, the old Honda Hut,
Sure.
Polaris, Evinrude,
That was
Mercury.
Rita Spangler and her husband.
Yes, correct.
You know, Chuck and Tina Swain. Chuck worked for them.
Yes. Just check this out. Look what the purse was back then for winning us.
Holy heck.
Here's all the classes.
That's big money.
Yes, they had a powder puff.
$2,000.
$2,000 guaranteed.
Jeez.
Look at all the different racing they had. I mean, this stuff is just really neat to me, you know. Here you could take notes, you know, who won the races.
Mm-hmm. You remember the pyramid? Dick and Jenny Best
Yes.
won that for years.
Yes.
They always bought the prize
Cattle at the fair. Yep. Park Pizza Villa. I mean, I paged through this thing and I just went, holy crap. You know, some of the businesses, Bill's Tackle Box back in the day.
Yeah, that's where it's,
Yep.
Janchek, that's hometown, huh?
Yep. Here's Mishler's. They sold Skidoo and Harley Davidson back in the day. Here's the Skedaddler. Here's George, AMF Sales and Service. Right there it is.
Wally
Seiler was involved too.
He used to build cars for Fuzzy Fosbetter.
Yes.
And
yes.
He had the scrapyard.
And then Skip Schweitzer also was involved. He's later sold Snowjet up in Fox Lake. Look at there, the old Green Giant Company even.
The Beaner.
Check this out. Sunset Hills Racing Team, 1970. The Skedaddlers. There's Richie George. He was the.
Oh yeah.
You know who that is?
No.
That's Wade and Timmy's dad.
Oh, I never met him.
That's Wade and Tim. You know Sarah?
Yeah.
There's Sarah.
She's the baby, right?
Yep.
I just found out Timmy's the oldest.
Yep.
I would have guessed it the other way around.
Now, you know who that is?
Oh, it looks like Jesse Kaptansky, but
Butch Paczynski.
Oh, okay.
What about that?
Oh, geez.
That's Wade.
No.
Yes. I didn't even know that. I showed him this picture. He's like, and see, I didn't know that was his dad either. Okay. He says, well, that's my dad in there. And he says, well, that's Sarah. He says, give me that picture. He's looking, he looks at me, he says, who's that? I said, I don't know. He said, that's me.
Yeah, I can see
He said, that's me. I said, holy crap. You know, after I got looking at it.
It's kind of funny. You compare that face to Sarah's son today.
Yeah.
It's pretty
very
close.
similar.
Yeah. Very
okay. Tom McDermott. I don't know if you know him. We couldn't figure out who this was. Wade couldn't figure out who this was. This was Phil Kumba.
Mm-hmm.
This was Phil Kumba. This was Joe George.
Uh-huh. Joe and Richie, they were brothers?
Yes. These were the two brothers. See, that was one of Richie's plumbing trucks right there.
Mm-hmm.
But that was Sunset Hills was their sponsor. That's what this says on here. See, Sunset Hills.
Sure.
Now.
And where do you suppose that photo was taken? At Sunset, or was that out someplace else?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure about that. But here's look at what else I got. Here's their racing somewhere. And this was a two-man where you'd have two guys on it. You'd go a lap, then you had to swap. Like if you and me were on there, then I drive, then you drive. Okay?
So the idea is to get two lightweights. Huh?
Yep. And then see, here's another one. Look at that. We don't know where that is, but we weren't able to figure out where this was. But see, that's an old Husky.
Mm.
Let's see here.
Sometimes the backgrounds will give you a clue. You know, if you can recognize a building.
Yeah, and see, no one could seem to figure out where that was. Here's the fairgrounds.
Oh, sure.
And see, that's Richie. See, and then that was his newer racers there. But But see, look at how the snow we had back then.
Mhm.
But this was Bill Mishler's old race bus. Okay, with Skidoo, it was painted Skidoo all on the side and everything.
Who
And
made
that
Mishler?
old man Mishler, Bill. Yep. This here was Bay Marina. That would have been Brad's dad. That was Brad's dad's truck right there. Okay. That's the old. Of course, that building is gone now. But that was. See, this is 33 right here. But that's the racetrack.
Okay. What do you hear about? I shrink in here too. What's this?
I think that was just a wall.
Just the wall.
Yeah. See, now look what they used for an ambulance back then. That old hearse. But that's at the fairgrounds.
Pretty neat stuff.
Here's an article from Mayville. Beaver Dam snowmobilers win top trophies. That's Richie right there. See, there's his name on it. See, what I always wanted to do, and
this is all printed letterpress too, so that's prior to 1971.
Okay.
That's when they switched to offset.
Okay. What I wanted to do someday is get a hood, and I wanted to put all this, back on a hood again, and you know.
Those are the clues, you know.
Yeah.
Sometimes they still are there. You know?
I know Skip Schweitzer's alive, and if I could find Skip someday, he could maybe remember. See, I often thought too of trying to get them colored, if that would help. You know, maybe bring people back to remember what some of them buildings were or something. See, here's a best close-up one I got of Richie back in the day. And actually, I have one of those helmets too yet. My dad's had one. I got it. It's an old Bell helmet named Bentz with Skedaddler orange.